Hi, Rena. Well, this list is aimed at prioritizing equal access to educational opportunities, regardless of a student's race or zip code. And as part of it, one change includes establishing an Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Center at the Department of Education aimed at addressing systemic racism. However, Governor Walz did not provide many tangible details of or explain how districts will implement these philosophies.
Governor Tim Walz's Due North education plan is made up of 7 priorities intended to close the gap for non-white and rural students. Those priorities include meeting the needs of students during and after the pandemic, giving every student a world-class education, making sure every student learns in a safe and nurturing environment, making sure every student learns in a classroom with caring and qualified teachers, expanding access to opportunities for students of color and Indigenous students, expanding access to opportunities for students in Greater Minnesota, and funding a 21st century education. While light on details on how to achieve the goals, Walz said some will take legislative support.
My hope and our desire, and I think our plan, to do this with Minnesotans, because I'm telling you, when legislators start to hear from their constituents, there's going to be an overwhelming cry from Minnesotans to make these systemic moves.
Walz also announced a pop-up COVID-19 vaccination site for Metro teachers this week at the Xcel Energy Center that will allow 15,000 educators to receive a vaccine. Teachers outside the Metro will again receive vaccinations at 7 of the 9 pilot sites that opened last week. Educators will work with their administrators on making appointments.
Minnesota's House GOP released a statement after the governor's announcement, saying in part that the governor's plan is heavy on talking points, but lacks any meaningful reforms to raise academic achievement. The governor did say that he will provide more details when he rolls out his proposed budget tomorrow, and that could include more details on exactly how some of these philosophies could be implemented into actual changes. Rena?
All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it.